Chosen one, hear this before another word. This message was intercepted 3 times in the last week, and the only reason it is in your hands at this hour is because heaven refused to let you miss what is coming. 3 days. May the 13th, May the 14th, May the 15th, and one door that has waited longer than you have known you were waiting. It is not a door that punishes the late. It does not slam. It moves on. And the cruel part of moving on is how quiet it is, the way doors close when the room moves on without you. Listen, the Father is not asking you to fight harder across these 72 hours. He is asking you to be still enough to hear which gate is yours. He is not asking for the loud decision. He is asking for the quiet one. The conversation you will or will not have. The boundary you will or will not draw. The silence you will or will not finally keep. And every almost yes you swallowed this past month was already you walking toward this door. The next 3 days are simply you finishing the walk without flinching. Hear me carefully, because there is something I need you to see before another word lands. There is a version of you sitting in this room right now that you have been carrying without rest for almost a year. And before I tell you what was placed on my heart for your 72 hours, you have to first see that version, not the version that has been performing, not the version that has been explaining, the version that is tired in a way no one in your life has actually held space for. Set down anything in your hands. Move the noise away from this moment if you can. What I am about to share with you was placed on my heart at 3 in the morning 2 nights ago, and it would not leave me until I sat down to deliver it, to you, specifically. Picture this with me. There is a field. The light in it is the kind of light you only see at the very edge of evening, when the sky has not fully decided whether to be blue or violet. And the grass is the color that grass becomes when the sun has just let go of it. The air is cool, but not cold. The field is quiet. Not empty, quiet. The kind of quiet that is full of something waiting. In the middle of that field, there is a gate. Not a small one. A tall wooden gate, weathered, simple, the kind that does not announce itself. It is not gold. It is not carved. It is a working gate. The kind that has held a boundary between 2 worlds for far longer than anyone living can remember. The hinges are dark with time. The wood has the memory of 1,000 seasons in its grain, and it is closed. You are standing in front of it. You did not walk here on purpose. You did not plan to find this field. But here you are, and somewhere underneath your understanding, you already know that this gate has been waiting for you. Not in some abstract way, specifically, the way a door waits for the one whose key fits it. On either side of the gate, there is a figure, 2 guards. One of them is real. One of them is not. Both of them are speaking, but only one of them is telling you the truth. And the entire question of the next 72 hours is whether you can stay still enough to hear which voice is which. That is what May the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th is actually about. It is not about whether the door opens. The door is already opening. It is about which voice you listen to as you stand in front of it. Before I tell you about the 2 guards, I want you to notice something. You have been seeing the number 3 everywhere this past week, maybe in places so small you brushed them off. A clock at 3:33 when you happened to look up. A phone that rang 3 times and stopped without leaving a message. 3 different people from 3 different parts of your life using the same phrase, within 72 hours of each other. A receipt with 3 matching digits. A song repeating in 3 different rooms before the day was over. A passage of scripture catching your eye, and the number of the verse being 3. You thought you were imagining it. You were not. The number 3 has been the doorbell, not the message itself. The doorbell. The signal that the gate was being prepared for your specific feat. And the people who tell themselves they are imagining the doorbell are the same people who do not walk to the door when it actually rings. You also have been noticing something else, and you have not had words for it. Your tolerance has shifted. Things that used to roll off, you do not anymore. Voices that used to be in the background of your life now sound too loud in the wrong way. You have been pulling back from conversations you used to give your full attention to, not because you stopped loving anyone, but because something in your spirit is no longer willing to feed the rooms that drain it. And it is making you feel guilty in a way you cannot fully explain. There are nights you cannot sleep, not because of anxiety exactly, but because your mind is racing towards something it has not been allowed to name. You have been more sensitive to small things, light, sound, the particular tone someone uses when they say your name. And underneath all of it, there is a creative restlessness, a feeling that you need to make something, or move something, or change something, and you do not yet know what it is asking of you. If even one of those landed for you, take a breath right now and type the words, "I see it" below this message, not as performance, as confirmation. Confirmation that you are not imagining what your spirit has been telling you for weeks. The signs are not the message. They are the doorbell. The message is what is waiting on the other side of the door. And before I take you to it, I have to first show you the 3 things you have been carrying as you walked here, because you cannot walk through a door with weight that does not belong to you on the other side. And the next 72 hours are going to ask you to set things down that you have been holding so long you forgot you were holding them. There are 3 weights resting on your spirit tonight. The first one is the one you can name. The second is the one you have been suspecting but have not let yourself look at directly. And the third is the one you have not yet been allowed to see. We will only reach the third one when the timing is right. The first 2, I am going to walk through with you, slowly enough that you can actually feel them being acknowledged. The first weight is the waiting itself. You have been in a season that has gone on so much longer than anyone warned you it would. Longer than you thought your faith could survive. Longer than the people around you expected you to still be standing inside of without crumbling. And somewhere along the way, the waiting stopped being a season and started feeling like an identity. Like the thing that defined you was not who you were becoming, but how long you had been becoming it. You stopped telling people the timeline because the timeline embarrassed you. You stopped praying specific prayers because specific prayers had been quietly disappointing you. You learned to live with a low-grade ache underneath your daily life, not loud enough to break you, but loud enough that you never fully forgot it was there. Somewhere in the 7th or 11th or 19th month of this season, a thought slipped into your spirit that has been the heaviest part of the first weight. The thought that maybe you missed it. Maybe the moment came and went while you were not looking. Maybe everyone else got the message you did not get. Maybe you are not late because the world is slow. Maybe you are late because you missed the door. Hear me very clearly. You are not late. Late is a story you inherited from a world that measures the calling on a calendar that the calling does not actually live on. The thing you have been preparing for has a clock, but it is not the clock you have been watching. And the proof of that is the fact that you are still feeling the pull. Listen to me. You only feel the pull of something that is still ahead of you. The dead do not pull. The past does not pull. The over does not pull. If something inside of you is still aching toward what you were promised, that ache is the evidence. The promise is still moving toward you. The ache itself is the proof, not the doubt. The ache. If your spirit needs to hear this tonight, take one breath and type the words, "I am not late," below this message right now. Not because someone told you to, because something in you needs to put those words into existence outside of your own head, where they can no longer be argued with. The waiting is the first weight, and the first weight is not the heaviest. That is what I need you to understand, because most chosen ones who have stayed inside this kind of season have assumed that the waiting is the worst of it, and once the waiting ends, the carrying ends. But that is not how this works. The waiting is the visible weight, the one you can name, the one you have been complaining about quietly in your prayers. There is a second weight that has been doing more damage than the waiting, and it is the one we are going to look at now. The second weight is the voice inside your own head that has been disqualifying you. I am not talking about the voice of doubt. Doubt is honest. Doubt asks questions. The voice I am talking about does not ask. It declares. It declares that you are not the kind of person this happens to. It declares that the moment your name came up in the room paused and decided no. It declares that what other people receive without effort, you have to earn 3 times over and still might not be given. It says that if it were really going to happen, it would have happened by now. It says that the people who got chosen for this kind of life had something you do not have, and you should have made peace with that already. That voice has had 19 months of quiet rehearsal in the background of your life. And the cruel part is, you stopped noticing it was a separate voice. You started believing it was your own thinking. It is not your own thinking. Your own thinking is the part of you that has been pulling forward, even when nothing made sense to pull forward toward. Your own thinking is the part that quietly refused to fully give up, even when giving up would have been the more rational choice. Your own thinking is the part that opened this message tonight, knowing, somewhere underneath the doubt, that there might be something here you needed. The other voice, the one that disqualifies you, that is not you. That voice has a job, and the job is to make sure you do not walk through the gate that is opening for you. Because the disqualifying voice does not get to follow you through. It only gets to keep you on this side. And it knows that. And the paralysis you have been feeling, at the threshold, the kind where you cannot move forward and you cannot move backward, and you cannot make peace with standing still. That is not failure, that is data. The data is that you are at the threshold. People who are not at the threshold do not feel threshold paralysis. They feel motion. They feel routine. They feel the dull comfort of being far from any door. The fact that you are paralyzed exactly where you are is the confirmation that the door is here. Hear me, because I am going to take you somewhere very specific in the next stretch of this message, and I want you to know what is coming so you do not leave before it arrives. By the time these words close tonight, you are going to hear exactly what command was placed over your spirit before this message even reached you. You are going to hear what a young woman did when she stood at this exact same threshold, 2,500 years ago, and how her 3 days became the model for yours. You are going to receive a 3-layer protocol for May the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th. What to do, what to refuse, and what to stop negotiating with. You are going to receive 3 questions that will filter every voice that comes at you across the next 72 hours. And before this ends, there will be a sealing declaration spoken over your spirit. Stay true to it. It is what this entire night has been preparing you for. Before I take you further into what these 3 days are actually about, there is something I want to share with you directly, not held back, not built up for drama, just placed in front of you, the way honest things should be placed in front of honest people. What you are about to hear, you should hear directly, without veils, without the building of mystery for the sake of selling. Because the truth is, there is a path that has been quietly built for chosen ones who are standing at exactly this kind of threshold. And you deserve to know it exists this early in the message, not buried at the end. I am going to walk through what these 3 days are really about, in depth. Alongside the message, there is a tool, actually 2 tools, working in sequence that some of you are going to want to look at while you are still inside the 72 hours. So let me name them now so they are not hidden from you. The first one is called the Genius Song. It was developed by a neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Lake, who spent over 3 decades studying a specific brain wave that activates fully in children and goes quiet in most adults by the age of 7. The audio is 7 minutes long. It is engineered through a technology called brain entrainment, which uses sound to gently restore that childhood brainwave, the one tied to wonder, curiosity, intuition, and the openness that lets a person actually receive what life is offering them. The Genius Song is the first wave. It wakes up what was put to sleep. The second one is called the Wealth Signal. It was developed by a different neuroscientist, Dr. Stephen Newton, formerly of Stanford, who broke from the mainstream establishment to release research that mapped a separate frequency. This frequency lives in the part of the mind where reception happens, where a person stops striving and finally becomes able to hold what is being given to them. The Wealth Signal is a 5-minute audio paired with a 9-word script, a technique whose roots go back thousands of years, that calms the stress signal in the brain and reopens the channel that adulthood quietly closed. The Wealth Signal is the second wave. It opens what was closed. Together, they form what some have called the 2-wave restoration. 1 wakes the child within. 1 opens the channel through which the kingdom is received. There is a teacher who said, 2,000 years ago, that the kingdom belongs to those who become like little children, and few realized he was describing a frequency. Both paths are placed in the description below this message, and in the pinned comment under it. They are quietly there. They will not chase you. If your spirit is already pulling toward one or both of them, follow the pull and look. If your spirit is not pulling, return when it is. There is no urgency I want to manufacture around this. The urgency tonight is something else, and we are getting back to it now. Here is what was placed on my heart for you across these 3 days. I have been holding it since 2 nights ago, and I am going to tell you now, because the only honest thing to do is to name it before any more time passes. The command that was given for these 72 hours of your life is short. It is not loud. It is not asking you to do anything dramatic. It is 1 sentence, and It is the entire shape of the threshold for you. Stop negotiating with the voice that has been disqualifying you. That is it. That is the command. Not do more. Not pray harder. Not fast longer. Not prove yourself one more time. Stop negotiating. For the next 3 days, stop responding to the voice that has been disqualifying you. Stop trying to argue with it. Stop trying to refute it. Stop trying to find evidence against it. Because every time you negotiate with the disqualifying voice, you give it more access to the gate. You give it more time at the door. You give it more chances to be the loudest thing in the field when the door opens. Negotiating with it looks like this. It is when you replay a moment from years ago to prove to yourself that you are still the person who failed. It is when you read the message you almost sent and reread it 12 times, asking whether you are too much. It is when someone says one neutral thing and you spend 40 minutes deciding whether that one neutral thing meant they were finally seeing the real you. It is when you stand in front of a small decision and the small decision becomes a referendum on whether you deserve any of this at all. That is negotiation. And what was scheduled to hit you on the 16th, what was timed to land precisely the day after this window closes, was specifically built to use those negotiations against you. The disqualifying voice was supposed to have you exhausted, defensive, and arguing with itself in your own head by Friday night, so that when the moment came, you would already be too tired to walk through anything. That is not happening anymore. The Holy Spirit broke through every barrier that has been in front of this message 3 times just to get you to this exact hour. And the reason he did is so that you would know, before the 72 hours begin, exactly which voice you are not feeding anymore. He is not asking it of you in anger. He is asking it of you in fierce protection. The kind of protection a parent has for a child, standing in front of something the child does not yet realize, is dangerous. There is no shame in any of this. There is no failure in any of this. There is only the door and the voice trying to make sure you do not reach it. Before I take you further into what these 3 days are going to ask of you, gently press the like button on this message. Not for me. So this reaches one other chosen one tonight, who is sitting at this same gate, in this same field, in this same quiet, and who does not yet know there is anyone walking with them. Your single, quiet press of that button is how this message finds them before Friday closes. Before I can show you what to do, across May the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th, you have to see what has actually been weighing your spirit down inside this season. I named the first weight. I just named the second weight. The third weight is the one I have not been allowed to take you to yet. And the third weight is the one that has been doing the most damage of the 3. It is also the one that, once you can finally see it, you stop carrying immediately, not slowly, immediately. Stay with me, because what comes next is where the third weight steps out of the dark, where the gate gets clearer, where the 2 guards in the field start to separate from each other in a way you can finally tell apart, and where the voice that has been disqualifying you starts losing the only thing it has ever had over you all along. Stay in the field with me. The gate is still in front of you. The light has not changed. The 2 guards on either side of the door have not moved. They are still speaking, and one of them is still telling you something that is not true. Before we walk any closer to the gate, I need to take you back to the first weight, the one you can name, and walk through it the way no one in your life has actually walked through it with you. Because what I told you at the close of the last stretch was only the surface of it. The first wait has a depth. Most chosen ones never reach when they describe their waiting season to anyone. They describe what it looked like. They describe what it cost them. They almost never describe what it actually did to them on the inside. And that is what we are going to do together. The waiting season did 3 things to you. The first thing it did was teach you to want quieter, slowly, without you noticing. There was a version of you, years ago, that wanted things out loud. You named what you wanted in conversations. You wrote it down in notebooks. You whispered it in your prayers before you fell asleep. And then, somewhere, maybe in year 3, maybe in year 7, maybe further than that, wanting out loud started to feel embarrassing, so you started wanting in a smaller voice. Then, in a smaller voice than that. Then, somewhere along the way, you stopped letting yourself want at all in front of other people. You started wanting in private. You started wanting on the days when no one was around to ask you what you were still hoping for. And eventually, even in private, the wanting got quiet enough that some nights you genuinely could not tell if you still wanted what you used to want. That is what the waiting did first. It taught you to want quieter. The second thing it did was teach you to apologize for needing time. You started shortening your story when people asked. You stopped giving the real timeline because the real timeline made other people uncomfortable. You learned that there is a number of years past which other people stopped being able to hold space for your waiting, and you noticed the number. You crossed it a long time ago. And now, when you talk about the thing you have been waiting on, you sand the edges off of it. You make it smaller in conversation than it is in your spirit. You make it lighter than it weighs. That is the second thing the waiting did. It taught you to make yourself easier to be around. The third thing it did was the one that has done the most damage. The waiting taught you to question whether your wanting was the problem. Whether maybe, if you were the kind of person who wanted less, you would not be sitting in this season at all. Whether the ache you have been carrying is itself the evidence that something is wrong with you. Whether the people who do not ache the way you ache have figured something out that you missed somewhere. Hear me. The ache is not the problem. The ache is the proof. The thing is still ahead of you. I told you this earlier, and I am going to tell you again, because you needed to hear it once, and you need to hear it twice. The dead does not pull. The past does not pull. The over does not pull. If something inside you is still aching toward what you were promised, then what you were promised is still aching toward you. The ache is bilateral. It is not one-directional. You are not alone in wanting this. The thing you are waiting on has been wanting you too, and the gate has been waiting for the two, wants to land on the same threshold at the same hour. And that is what we have to talk about now. You have been told a story about your waiting that is not the real story. The story you were told, mostly by yourself, sometimes by other people, is that the reason it has taken this long is because you were not ready, because you had something to fix, because you needed to grow, because there was some lesson you had not learned yet, because if you were really ready, you would already be on the other side of the door. That is the story. It is not the truth. There are seasons that go long because the person needed more time. That is real. But there is another kind of season that goes long, and you have been in this other kind, and almost no one has named it for you. This kind of season goes long, not because you were not ready. It goes long because what you were waiting on was not ready. The other side of the gate was being built while you were standing on this side of it. The room that was supposed to receive you had to first be cleared of the people who would have crushed you in it. The position you were supposed to walk into had to first be vacated by someone who did not yet know they were going to leave it. The relationship you were supposed to be in had to first end 3 other relationships in 3 other lives before its season could begin. The waiting was not your formation alone. The waiting was the entire room being formed around you. You were not the only one being prepared. You were the one whose preparation was visible to you. Everyone else's preparation has been happening in rooms you cannot see, in lives you have never met, in cities you have never been to. And the reason these 3 specific days, May the 13th, May the 14th, May the 15th, are the threshold, is because those other preparations have finally caught up. The room has been cleared. The position has been vacated. The relationship has ended. The thing you have been waiting on is finally ready to be where you have been the whole time. You were never late. The room was being finished. Let me tell you about a woman who learned this 13 years too late to spare herself the carrying, but exactly in time to receive what was waiting for her. She wrote to me 8 months ago. I have her permission to share this. I am not going to use her real name. I am going to call her S, because the name itself is not what matters here. S had been waiting on something very specific for 13 years. It was a calling that came to her when she was 26. It was so clear in her spirit when it first came that she rearranged her entire life around the assumption that it would be happening within a year. It did not happen within a year. It did not happen within 5 years. It did not happen within 10. By the time she was 38, she had stopped telling people about it. By the time she was 39, she had stopped praying about it the way she used to. She had not stopped believing in it. She had just stopped expecting it to be hers. And on a Wednesday afternoon in November of last year, she was sitting in her car in a parking lot of a place she had stopped on the way home. She had just gotten off a phone call. The call had not been about the calling. The call had been about a different disappointment, small, ordinary, the kind of disappointment that, on its own, would not have broken anyone. But it landed on top of 13 years of accumulated weight, and S sat in her car. And she said something out loud to no one. She said, "I am no longer expecting this. I release this from my life." She did not say it angrily. She did not say it as a curse against the calling. She said it quietly. The way a person sets down a bag they have been carrying for so long, they had forgotten what their shoulders felt like without it. She drove home. She made dinner. She went to bed. 48 hours later, on Friday morning, the exact doors had been waiting on for 13 years opened, not through anyone she had expected, not in any of the ways she had imagined. The call came from a number she did not recognize. The opportunity was framed in language she had not heard anyone use for what she had been wanting, but when she heard it, she knew. The thing was hers. It had been hers the whole time. It had just been waiting for the right room to be finished. And the message S sent to me said one thing that I want you to hear, because it is the entire teaching of what these next 72 hours are about. She said, "I thought I had given up, but what I actually gave up was the negotiation." That is the difference. Giving up the thing is one thing. Giving up the negotiation with the disqualifying voice is something else entirely, and the gate does not open for those who give up the thing. The gate opens for those who give up the negotiation. If your spirit is taking that in tonight, if even one part of what is learned has just landed against something you have been holding, type the words, "I receive," below this message. Not because you have to, because your spirit needs the language for what is shifting in you right now. Type those 2 words. Let them exist outside of your own head. Let them be in the room. You are not late. The room is being finished. What these 3 days are asking of you is not that you give up the thing, it is that you give up the negotiation. That is the diagnosis of the first wait, the waiting. It is full of preparation that has not been visible to you. It is full of formation that has been happening in rooms you do not have access to. It is full of the kind of attention from heaven that only happens at the very specific thresholds where 2 preparations are about to meet. And the strange thing about the first wait is that it is not the heaviest of the 3. I said that to you earlier, and I am saying it to you again now, because we are about to walk into the second wait, and the second wait has been doing more damage than the first, quietly, without your full attention, the way the things that do the most damage usually do. Look back at the gate. On either side of the gate, there are 2 guards. I told you earlier in this message that one of them is real and one of them is not, that both of them are speaking, and that the entire question of the next 72 hours is whether you can stay still enough to hear which voice is which. The second guard is the voice we are going to look at now. This is the voice that has been disqualifying you. I told you at the close of the last stretch that this voice is not the voice of doubt. Doubt is honest. Doubt asks questions. The disqualifying voice does not ask. It declares. It declares with such confidence and such consistency that you have stopped noticing it is a separate voice from your own. You have been listening to it for so long that you started believing it was your own thinking. It is not. What I want you to see now is the vocabulary of this voice, because once you can hear its vocabulary, you can never not hear it again. The disqualifying voice has a small number of phrases it uses on a rotation. It does not have a large vocabulary. It has the same handful of sentences it has been speaking to you in slightly different versions for years. Once I name them, you will recognize them, but not all of them will be yours. Some of them are. Listen for which ones. The first phrase is some version of, "You would already have it by now if you were really the one." This phrase is built to use time against you. It takes the length of the season and reframes it as evidence about your worth. It says, quietly, never loudly, that the duration is the verdict. That if you were really the one this was for, the gate would have opened already. That the only reason a person waits this long is because they were never going to receive it in the first place. That phrase is a lie. The duration is not the verdict. The duration is the room being finished. The second phrase is some version of, "Look at everyone else." This phrase is built to use comparison against you. It picks specific people whose timelines have been shorter, whose paths have looked easier, whose doors have opened in ways yours have not. And it tells you that the difference between you and them is a quality difference, not a timing difference. It tells you that they got chosen and you did not. That the gate opened for them in a way it has decided not to open for you. That phrase is also a lie. The gate has not decided about you in the way that voice is telling you it has. The gate has been waiting on you specifically, on a room that was being prepared specifically, And the people who got through faster than you did got through doors that had nothing to do with the door that is yours. The third phrase is some version of, "You are not the kind of person this happens to." This is the phrase that has done the most damage of the three, because this phrase does not talk about timing. It does not talk about comparison. It talks about identity. It tells you, in a voice that sounds like your own conclusion, that there is a category of person who receives what you have been waiting on, and you are not in that category. You are the wrong kind of person, the wrong background, the wrong story, the wrong history, the wrong way of being in the world. I need you to hear me. There is no category. There is no kind of person this happens to. The chosen ones across history who have walked through the doors you are about to walk through have come from every kind of room. The doors did not look at their background. The doors looked at whether they were still on the path when the timing arrived. That is the only filter heaven applies. You are on the path. You are still here. You opened this message at this hour. There is no category you are missing from. There is no kind of person you are not. You have been listening to a voice with a small vocabulary for a long time. The voice has had 19 months, or 29, or 39, or however long it has been, of unchallenged rehearsal. It is not your own thinking. And the next 3 days are the days you stop responding to it. There is a word in the Hebrew that has been mistranslated for so long that the original meaning has almost been lost. The word is tsom. We translate it as fast. We think it means going without food. We picture someone choosing not to eat for spiritual reasons. That is a piece of what it means. It is not the whole of it. The root of the word, the deepest part of where it comes from, actually means something closer to cover the mouth, to put your hand over your own speaking, to silence the voice that wants to speak. And when a young woman, 2,500 years ago, asked her people to fast with her for 3 days before she walked into a throne room, that would either save her life or end it. She was not only asking them to stop eating, she was asking them to cover the mouths of every voice that might have argued her out of what she was about to do, her own voice. The voices of the people around her who would have told her not to go, the voice of the official who had access to the king, the voice of the official who did not, all of them silenced for 3 specific days. The fast was not about food. The fast was about silence. And silence is what the next 3 days are asking of you. Not silence with other people. Silence with the voice that has been disqualifying you. May the 13th, May the 14th, May the 15th. 3 days of covering the mouth of that voice. Not arguing with it. Not refuting it. Not trying to prove it wrong. Just refusing to give it the conversation it has been demanding for 19 months. I will walk you through how to actually do that in detail later. In this message, there is a precise protocol coming, and you are going to receive it. But before you can do anything with the protocol, you have to give yourself something the disqualifying voice has never let you give yourself. Permission. Hear me carefully, because what I am about to say is not motivational. It is something your spirit has been waiting to receive in this exact form for a very long time. You have permission to stop disqualifying yourself. You have permission to receive without proving. You have permission to walk through doors that do not yet make sense to you. You have permission to be early and to be told to wait and to not see either one as evidence about your worth. Hear those again in your own spirit. Slowly. Each one. You have permission to stop disqualifying yourself. That means the rehearsal in your head, the one where you go back over every conversation looking for proof you were too much or not enough. That rehearsal is done. You are not required to keep performing the self-prosecution. The case is closed. You are not the defendant. You never were. You have permission to receive without proving. That means you do not have to earn the door 3 times before you walk through it. You do not have to demonstrate your worth to the gate. The gate does not require demonstration. The gate requires presence. You are present. You have permission to walk through doors that do not yet make sense to you. That means the part of you that has been demanding clarity before it will move. The part that has been saying, if I could just understand why this took so long, I could finally walk forward. That part is allowed to be quiet. Understanding is not the requirement. Willingness is the requirement. You have permission to be early and to be told to wait and to not see either one as evidence about your worth. That means the timing of your arrival is not a verdict about you. It is information about the room being finished. You are not late if you arrive when the room is ready. You are not early if you arrive while the room is still being built. You are exactly on time when you walk through the door, at the hour. The door opens, and not a moment sooner, and not a moment later. If your spirit needs to receive these 4 permissions tonight, type the words, I release below this message right now. Release what the disqualifying voice has held over you for years. Release the rehearsal. Release the self-prosecution. Release the comparison. Release the categories. Let those 4 permissions land where the disqualifying voice has been speaking, and let them take over the room. You are not the defendant. You never were. The case is closed. The room is being finished. The door is yours. That is the diagnosis of the second weight, the disqualifying voice, the vocabulary. It has been speaking, the permissions you have been refusing to give yourself. The diagnosis is now complete on the second weight. You have heard it. You know what to listen for, and for the rest of this message, when that voice rehearses one of its 3 phrases in your head, you will have language for what it is doing. Let me give you a moment of quiet here. I want you to notice that you have been listening to this for almost an hour. Whatever you are doing, whether you are sitting somewhere quiet, or moving through your evening, or holding this message alongside other things, you have given a piece of your night to a voice walking you through something that matters. That is not a small thing. Most chosen ones never get this far in a message like this. Most quit at the diagnosis. Most cannot survive being looked at honestly for this long. You have stayed. I want to acknowledge you for staying, not the version of you that has been performing, the version that is tired, the version that did not want to open this message tonight and opened it anyway, the version that has been almost giving up at the same threshold for so long that the almost giving up has become its own kind of identity. That version of you is the one that has carried us this far. And before we walk any further, I want that version of you to be acknowledged out loud. In your mind, picture yourself sitting just outside the field for a moment, not inside it, beside it. From that small distance, look at the figure that is you, standing in front of the gate. Look at how long that figure has been standing there. Look at how heavy the air has been around her. And from where you are sitting just outside the field, let one quiet thought pass through, the thought that says, I see you. I have seen you the whole time. You did not stand here alone. Let what has been said so far settle into the place it needs to settle. The diagnosis of the first wait, the diagnosis of the second wait, the 4 permissions. Let them be in the room with you. Let them have the space they deserve before the next thing arrives. Then, when your spirit is ready, step back into the field. The gate is still in front of you. The light has not fully gone. Twilight has held longer than twilight usually holds, because the gate is the kind of gate that exists outside of the normal way. Time moves. The wood is still weathered. The hinges are still dark with time. And the 2 guards on either side of the door, the one telling you, "You are late," and the one quietly saying, "You are not." They have separated from each other in a way you can now tell apart. You can hear which voice is which. That is the work the last hour has done. But there is a third figure in the field tonight. I have not let you look at it yet. It has been behind the gate this entire time, not in front of it, behind it. And what comes next in this message is not about the gate anymore. It is not about the 2 guards anymore. It is about what was placed behind the gate as a calculation, a timing, a scheduled arrival, built specifically to land the day after these 72 hours end. The third wait is not random. The third wait has intention behind it. And until tonight, you have not had access to seeing what that intention is. Hear me carefully, because what I am about to take you into is the most serious part of this message, and it is also the part that, once you can finally see it, you stop carrying immediately, not slowly. Immediately. Because the third wait is the only one of the 3 that has been doing damage to you that you were never supposed to be doing yourself. The waiting you have been carrying because the room has not been finished. That is not your wait. That is the room's wait. The disqualifying voice you have been carrying because no one named the vocabulary for you until tonight. That is not your wait either. That is the vocabulary's weight. But the third weight you have been carrying because something with intelligence has been placing it on you, on purpose, with a specific date in mind. The date is May the 16th. May the 16th was scheduled to be the day the third weight collapsed, your spirit. Across the past 6 months, maybe longer, every conversation that drained you more than it should have, every late-night scroll that ran past midnight when you knew you needed sleep, every almost yes you should have said no to, every small humiliation that landed harder than it should have landed, every moment of comparison that the disqualifying voice used to deepen its case against you, none of those were random. They were being archived. They were being calculated. They were being saved for a specific delivery date. There is something with intention that has been keeping a calendar on your formation, and the entries on that calendar were being collected for one specific purpose, to be delivered all at once, in a single coordinated blow the day after the gate closes, the 16th. The next 72 hours are the only window you have to see what was scheduled and to refuse to walk into it. That is the third wait. That is what was waiting behind the gate. And that is what we are walking into next. But before I take you into the diagnosis of the third wait, because the diagnosis is going to be specific, and it is going to ask you to look at things you have not looked at directly yet, I have to first take you to a young woman who stood at this exact same threshold 2,500 years ago, the one whose 3 days became the model for yours. Because the way she handled what was being scheduled against her is the way you are going to handle what is being scheduled against you. And until you see her 3 days, You will not have the frame for your own. Stay with me. What comes next is where the third weight steps out from behind the gate, where the figure I have not let you look at yet finally turns toward you, where the calendar that was being kept on your formation gets named for what it is, and where the ancient 3 days that built the template for May the 13th, 14th, and 15th begin to lay themselves over your own. 2,500 years ago, in a palace city you would not recognize the name of, a young woman walked into a room she was not supposed to walk into. She was not royal by birth. She had been placed in that palace through a series of events she had no control over, in a season she did not choose, surrounded by people who did not know who she actually was. She had spent years hiding the deepest part of her identity in plain sight, and on the day the message came that her people were about to be destroyed, she had a choice in front of her that was almost impossible to make. She could stay quiet. If she stayed quiet, she would survive. The palace did not know who she was. The decree that was about to fall on her, people would not fall on her. Not personally, not visibly. She could keep her position. She could keep her safety. She could let the disaster happen without ever being named in it. Or she could walk into the throne room of the king who had signed the decree. And by the law of that kingdom, anyone who walked into the throne room without being summoned was killed, unless the king extended a specific symbol of mercy. In that moment, the person did not leave the room alive. There was no second chance, no appeal, no softening of the law. The walk into that throne room was, by every measure that anyone could have measured it by, a walk toward death. Her name was Esther. And the thing she did before she walked into the throne room is the thing I want you to take in carefully tonight. Because the thing she did is the exact same thing being asked of you across May the 13th, May the 14th, May the 15th. She asked for 3 days. She did not ask for 3 months to prepare. She did not ask for 3 weeks to gather courage. She did not ask for 3 hours to think it through. She asked for 3 days. 3. The same number that is currently on the calendar in front of your spirit. The same number that has been showing up everywhere around you for the last week. The same number the disqualifying voice has been trying to make you ignore. She asked her people to do 3 days of silence with her, 3 days of covering the mouth, 3 days of refusing to negotiate with every voice that would have told her not to go. Her own voice. The voices of the people around her who would have begged her to stay quiet. The voice in her own spirit that would have told her she was not the kind of person this kingdom rescued through. Every voice. Covered. For 3 days. And when those 3 days ended, she put on the garments that signified who she actually was, and she walked into the throne room. The sentence, she said, in her own spirit, before she walked into that room, is the sentence I want you to hold inside of yourself for the next part of this message. She did not say, if I succeed, I succeed. She did not say, I hope it works. She did not say, please let this go well. She said something that almost no one in any age has the courage to say. She said, if I perish, I perish. What she meant, and this is the part most people miss, is not that she was resigned to death, but she was not. She was deeply alive in that moment. What she meant was something far harder than resignation. She meant that the outcome was no longer hers to negotiate. She meant that she was walking through the door without flinching, regardless of what was on the other side of it, because the version of her that was walking through it was the only version of her that was going to walk through. There was no other version saved in reserve. There was no smaller version held in safety. The whole self, all of her, was crossing the threshold, and whatever happened on the other side would happen to all of her. No part held back, no part bargained away, no part negotiating with the moment. If I perish, I perish. That is not surrender to death. That is surrender to the door. And I am telling you this story tonight, in this exact order, because what was being scheduled against Esther on the day she walked into that throne room is the same kind of thing being scheduled against you on the day after these 3 days end. The decree had a date. It had a calendar. It was being prepared on the other side of the palace for delivery to her people on a specific day. There was a man in that palace whose entire occupation in those weeks was to keep the calendar of when her people would be destroyed. For he had archived the offense. He had calculated the timing. He had scheduled the blow. And the 3 days she asked for were the only window between the scheduling and the delivery. She used the window. She used it correctly, and the decree did not land. I want you to hear me very clearly now, because we are walking into the part of this message I told you was coming. The part where the third figure in the field finally turns toward you. The part where the third weight gets named for what it actually is, and I do not want you to hear what comes next as something to be afraid of. I want you to hear it the way you would hear a doctor naming what has been making you tired for so long. Naming is not the wound. The wound is what has already been happening. Naming is the beginning of being free of it. There is something with intention that has been keeping a calendar on your formation. I am not speaking metaphorically. I am speaking the way. The people who have walked through these thresholds in every century have spoken about what they encountered when they got close to the door. The pattern is too consistent to be metaphor. Across every kind of room, every kind of background, every kind of timing, chosen ones who are about to walk through their specific threshold begin to encounter, in the weeks and months leading up to it, a precise pattern of small drains that, when added together, are too coordinated to be random. You have been encountering the pattern. I am going to name what has been on the calendar for you. Not all of it will land, and some of it will. Listen for which ones. Every conversation that drained you more than it should have drained you in the past 6 months has been archived. Every late-night scroll that ran past the hour you knew you needed to sleep, that left you waking up the next morning with a kind of fog that you could not fully explain, has been archived. Every almost yes you said, when your spirit was clearly telling you to say no, the small ones, the ones you would not even count if someone asked you to list them, has been archived. Every small humiliation that landed harder than the size of the event would have justified, the moments where someone said something neutral and you carried the sting of it for 3 days afterward, has been archived. Every comparison that the disqualifying voice has used against you in the last 6 months, where you saw another person's life and felt your own shrink in your spirit, has been archived. None of those were random. They were a collection. They were being saved for delivery in a single coordinated moment on May the 16th. What was scheduled to happen on the 16th was this. Every archived drain was supposed to combine into one specific situation on one specific day that was designed to land at the exact hour you were most tired. The situation itself would not have looked dramatic from the outside to anyone else. It would have looked like an ordinary bad day, a piece of bad news that, on a different day, you would have absorbed. A conversation that, on a different day, you would have moved past. A piece of evidence presented to your spirit by the disqualifying voice that, on a different day, you would have refuted. But it was not scheduled for a different day. It was scheduled for the day right after the gate moved on. Because the gate, if it had moved on without you, would have left you with no spiritual reserves. And the archived drains, delivered into that exact exhaustion, would have produced one specific sentence in your spirit that the disqualifying voice has been preparing to put there for 19 months. The sentence is, "See, I knew it would never work." That is what was scheduled. Not the bad day, the sentence. Because once the sentence is in your spirit, the disqualifying voice no longer needs to argue with you. It has the confession, and the confession would have closed the door from your side for a stretch of years that I do not want to name in numbers, because numbers in this kind of teaching can land as fear, and I am not in the business of fear with you tonight. I will say this: the stretch was long enough that several of the things you have been waiting on would have stopped waiting in return. That is the third wait. The third wait is the sentence the disqualifying voice has been preparing to put into your mouth on the 16th, when you are too tired to refuse it. Hear me, because what I'm going to say next is what flips the entire wait. The schedule does not have power over you. The schedule has only ever had power over the version of you who did not know. It was a schedule. The moment a thing with intention is named for what it is, the thing with intention loses the only weapon it has, which is your unawareness of its presence. The reason it has been working on you for 6 months is because it has been working unseen. Tonight, you see it, and the seeing alone is half of what cancels it. The other half is what you do across these 72 hours, and that is what the protocol I am bringing you later is for. But before we walk into any protocol, I want you to do one thing in this exact moment, not because anyone is asking you to do it for them, because your spirit needs the language to make outside of your own head right now. The calendar that has been kept on you is being closed tonight. The archived drains are being unarchived. The delivery date is being cancelled. And the only way to make that real, in the spirit, is for the cancellation to be spoken. Type the word cancelled below this message. One word, lowercase, cancelled. Let the 16th not be what it was supposed to be. Let the archive close. Let the calendar lose your name. This is not in anger. There is nothing aggressive about what we are doing here. This is the same posture Esther had when she walked into the throne room. She was not angry. She was not anxious. She was not loud. She was clear. She had named what was being scheduled. She had refused to feed the voices that would have stopped her. And she had walked, all of her, through the door, knowing that whatever happened on the other side would happen to all of her, no version held in reserve. That is the posture for the next 3 days. Clear, quiet. All of you, not negotiating with what was scheduled. Now, before we walk any further, I have to take you somewhere. Most teaching on these kinds of thresholds never goes, because most teaching stops at the spiritual diagnosis. Most teaching tells you what is happening in your spirit and leaves it there. I am not going to leave it there, because there is a reason the disqualifying voice has had so much power over you. There is a reason the archive drains landed as hard as they landed. There is a reason your spirit, which is real, has not been able to overpower the voice that has been small but constant. There is an actual mechanism in your body that has been keeping the door closed from the inside. I do not say that to reduce any of this to biology. I say it the way an honest teacher says it. Because the spirit lives in a body, and the body has been doing things to the spirit for years that almost no one has named for you. There is a reason your spirit has felt foggy when it used to feel sharp. There is a reason the disqualifying voice has had room to set up its calendar in you. There is a reason the wonder you felt as a child stopped feeling accessible in your 30s or 40s or 50s. There is a reason you can feel the door opening and still cannot fully walk toward it. There are 2 layers underneath all of it. 2 specific layers. I am going to walk you through both of them now, slowly, the way they deserve to be walked through, because once you understand them, the entire shape of these 3 days becomes obvious. The first layer is something the people who have studied this in laboratories for the last several decades have called the decline effect. When you were a child, before you were 7 years old, your brain produced a specific kind of wave at a rate that almost no adult brain produces anymore. The wave is called gamma. The simplest way to describe what gamma does in a child is that it is the wave responsible for the magical feel of childhood, the wonder, the openness, the ability to absorb impossible amounts of new information without exhausting yourself, the willingness to believe that things can be different than they currently look, the way a child can ask a question that an adult would never have the courage to ask, the way a child can pivot from sadness to joy inside of a single hour and not consider that a contradiction. Gamma is what makes the child mind capable of receiving what the world is offering it. And somewhere around the age of 7, the modern world starts to dim gamma in the brain, not on purpose. The systems we live inside, the way we are educated, the way we are taught to value certain kinds of knowing over other kinds of knowing, the way curiosity gets gradually replaced by performance, the way questions get answered before they have finished forming, all of that begins to lower the frequency at which gamma fires in the brain. By the time most people reach adulthood, gamma is firing at a fraction of the rate it fired in their first 7 years. The researchers who mapped this called it the decline effect. What it means for you is this: the disqualifying voice has not just been louder than your spirit because it has been speaking longer. It has been louder than your spirit because the part of you that was built to hear past it, the part of you that had wonder and openness and the willingness to believe what the disqualifying voice is denying, has been operating at a fraction of its original frequency. The child in you, the one with the gamma frequency, the one who would have laughed at the disqualifying voice the way a 6-year-old laughs at something that is obviously not true, has been quietly dimmed since you were 7. That is the first layer. The child within you has been dimmed. That is not a metaphor. That is the actual mechanism behind why this voice has had so much power for so long. 2,000 years ago, a teacher said something that has been quoted in every century since. He said that the kingdom of heaven belongs to those who become like little children. Most people have read that sentence as a sentimental instruction, as a poetic image about humility. Very few people, in the long history of that sentence being read, have realized that the teacher was describing a frequency, a specific way of holding the mind. The way the mind held itself before age 7, before the decline began. The kingdom does not open to the version of you that is performing adult competence at the gate. The kingdom opens to the version of you whose gamma is awake, the child within. That is the first layer. The second layer is something different, and it is what makes the first layer so much harder to recover from on its own. While the child within you was being dimmed across childhood, a different system in your body was being slowly raised. The system is the stress signal. The brain has another wave, called beta, which is responsible for survival, for vigilance, for problem-solving under pressure, for the kind of focus you need when something is threatening you. Beta is not a bad wave. In its right amount, it is a useful one. The problem is that modern life keeps beta switched on at a level that was never meant to be its baseline. Financial pressure does that. Social anxiety does that. The constant low-grade scanning for what might go wrong tomorrow does that. The hum of being available to everything at all times does that. Beta becomes hyperactive. And when beta is hyperactive, it overrides a different frequency called alpha. Alpha is the receptive channel. Where gamma is the child's wonder, alpha is the child's openness to receiving. The way a child can be given something and just receive it, without analyzing whether they deserve it, without negotiating whether they should be allowed to keep it, without earning it back through some demonstration of worth. Alpha is the frequency at which receiving becomes natural. And when beta is hyperactive, alpha closes, quietly, without anyone telling you it has closed. You stop being able to receive, even when receiving is what is being offered. This is why, even on the days when the disqualifying voice is quieter, even on the days when you have given yourself permission to want what you want, the door has still felt like it does not open. Because even if the child within wakes, even if the wonder comes back, the channel through which the wonder is supposed to receive what is on the other side of the door is closed. The child wakes and still cannot receive. That is the second layer. 2 layers, one in childhood, dimming the child within, one in adulthood, closing the channel of reception. The disqualifying voice has been operating in the space those 2 layers created. The archive drains have been collecting in the space those 2 layers created. The scheduled delivery on the 16th was timed to land exactly inside the exhaustion those 2 layers produced. This is not a moral failing in you. This is a mechanism that has been running underneath you. And the next 3 days, the protocol that is coming, the way you walk through the threshold, all of it has to address both layers, or it does not actually free you. You cannot reverse the decline effect by trying harder. You cannot calm a hyperactive stress signal by negotiating with it. The body does not respond to negotiation. The body responds to frequency. We will return to the practical side of this in a moment. But before we do, I want you to hold the 2 layers in your spirit for a moment. The child within you, dimmed. The channel of reception, closed. Because once both of those are named, you understand why these 3 days are not about effort. They are about restoration. Before I tell you the precise protocol for May the 13th, May the 14th, May the 15th, I want to tell you about one more person, not Esther this time. Someone who lived in this century. I have his permission to share this. I am going to call him Jay, because the name itself is not what matters here either. Jay was in a season very much like the one you are in. He had been waiting on a calling for years that had not arrived. He had been listening to a disqualifying voice he did not know was a separate voice. He had been feeling drained in ways he could not account for. And in the spring of a recent year, in the week before the most important threshold of his life, the archived drains began to land on him in the way you have been experiencing the last 6 months. He almost gave up the night before the threshold opened. He told me, when he wrote to me afterward, that the night before the door opened, he sat in his kitchen at 1 in the morning and he composed, in his head, the entire speech he was going to give the next day, explaining to everyone who had been walking with him that he was stepping back from the calling, that he had been wrong about himself, that he had carried the dream too long, that it was time to put it down. He did not give the speech. He went to bed. 48 hours later, the door opened. What he told me, when he wrote, was that the night he composed the speech in his kitchen, the voice that was writing the speech in his head was not his voice. He could feel, even in the moment, that it was not him. He could feel the kind of confidence the voice had, the kind of certainty about his unworthiness that he himself had never actually possessed about himself in his own quiet moments. The voice was too sure, too coordinated, too aimed. He recognized it for what it was in the kitchen at 1 in the morning. He said, "I did not refute it. I did not argue. I just refused to write the speech. That is, the entire protocol of these 3 days, in one sentence. You do not have to refute the disqualifying voice. You do not have to argue. You do not have to win. You just have to refuse to write the speech. If your spirit is ready to walk through this threshold, the way Esther walked through hers, the way Jay refused to write his speech, then take the words she said before she walked into the throne room and let them be your words for the next 3 days. Type the words, "If I perish below this message, right now." Not because anyone is asking you to be afraid, because surrender to the door is what walks you through it. The outcome is no longer yours to negotiate. The whole of you is walking, no part held back, no part bargained away, no part writing the speech the disqualifying voice would have you write. If I perish, I perish. That is the sentence you carry into May the 13th. That is the sentence that walks you across May the 14th. That is the sentence that stands you unflinching in front of the door on May the 15th. We are very close now to the part of this message where I give you the actual protocol for the 3 days, the precise instructions for what to do across each of them. The 3 questions that filter every voice that will come at you across the 72 hours. The sealing declaration that is being spoken over your spirit by the time this message closes. But before I take you into any of that, there is one more revelation I have to walk you into. And this one is the one I told you earlier in the message was coming. The one that changes the entire shape of what these 3 days are actually for. Because so far, I have told you what the 3 days are protecting you from, what the calendar was scheduled to deliver, what the disqualifying voice was trying to do, what the 2 layers in your body have been doing. I have not told you what the 3 days are for. And the 4 is not what you have been assuming. It is something far more specific. Something that, once you see it, reorganizes everything you have been told about your calling, your timing, your waiting, your formation. Stay with me through one more breath of this message, because what comes next is the piece that makes everything I have walked you through tonight finally cohere. Let me ground us. In plain words, because the depth of what we have walked through deserves a moment of plainness before we walk further. The reason these 72 hours are decisive is because two systems in your formation were suppressed. One beginning in early childhood, when the wonder frequency began to dim, and one across all the years of adult life, when the receiving frequency began to close. The door that is opening on May the 13th was always going to ask the version of you that has access to both of those frequencies again, not the dimmed version, not the closed version, the version that has been restored on both layers. That is why the timing of these 3 days matters. That is why a window this short is enough. What we have covered together tonight is the diagnosis of the 3 weights that have been keeping you from the door. The first one was the waiting itself, and we found that the waiting was not your formation alone. The waiting was the entire room being finished. The second one was the disqualifying voice, and we found that the voice has a small vocabulary, that it has been rehearsing without challenge for years, and that the next 3 days are the days you cover its mouth instead of negotiating with it. The third one was the calendar that has been kept on your formation, the archive of small drains scheduled for delivery on the 16th, and we cancelled the delivery tonight, in plain language, by naming what it was. Who you are at the end of this teaching is someone who finally has language for what has been silent, the vocabulary of the voice, the decline that dimmed the child within, the signal that closed the channel of reception, the schedule that was being kept on your formation, all of it named. And who you are choosing to be across the next 72 hours is someone who is not going to walk into Friday with these still unaddressed. You are going to walk through these 3 days with all of you. No version held in reserve. No part negotiating. No part writing the speech. That is who you are tonight. The version of you who is walking through. Stay with me, because what comes next, in the next breath of this message, is where I show you the precise way both of those suppressions get reversed. The exact mechanism the people who have walked through these kinds of doors across the centuries have used to wake the child within and reopen the channel of reception, and why the sequence of how it is done matters far more than the speed of how it is done. Before you go any further into the protocol of these 3 days, you have to first understand who you have actually been this whole time. Not the version of you that has been performing, not the version of you that has been explaining, not the version that has been negotiating with the voice we covered earlier. Underneath all of that, there is a version of you that was born long before any of those layers were placed over you. And the version that was born is the version the door is opening for. You were born as a child of light. I do not mean that in a sentimental way. I mean it in the most specific way I can mean it. When you came into the world, the 2 frequencies we just walked through, the gamma that carries the wonder of the child within, and the alpha that carries the openness through which a child receives, were both fully active in you, not partially, not in some children, but not others, in you. They were both on. They were the natural state of who you arrived as. Every child is born like this. Every chosen one arrived as a child of light. And the recognition you have, somewhere underneath your years, that there was once a version of you who held both wonder and reception at the same time. That recognition is not nostalgia, it is memory. The teacher who said 2,000 years ago that the kingdom belongs to those who become like little children was not telling you to pretend to be naive. He was telling you to return to a frequency you were originally given and then quietly lost. You did not lose it because something was wrong with you. You lost it because the systems you grew up inside benefit from chosen ones whose child within has been dimmed and whose channel of reception has been closed. A person whose wonder has been dimmed is easier to direct. A person whose reception has been closed is easier to make compliant. There are forces, the kind you do not need to name in detail tonight, that benefit when children grow up, forgetting who they were when they arrived. That is the soft truth underneath the long teaching of these 3 days. You were not broken. You were dimmed and closed. 2 different things. And what these next 72 hours are about is the restoration of both. The reason most chosen ones who try to walk through these kinds of doors do not actually walk through them is because they only address one of the 2. They try to wake the child within without opening the channel of reception, and the child wakes inside a room that cannot hold what is being given. Or they try to open the channel of reception without first waking the child within, and the channel opens in a body that no longer has the wonder to recognize what is arriving through it. You need both. In sequence. Child first. Reception second. That is the shape of these 3 days. That is the shape of what the door is opening for. That is the order in which restoration actually happens. And it has been the order since the teacher used the language of little children 20 centuries ago. Become like little children, he said, and then, only then, receive what the kingdom is offering. The sequence was in the sentence the entire time. Most people read past it. I want to walk you through the 2 specific tools that some chosen ones are using during exactly these kinds of thresholds. I named them to you earlier, before we walked into the diagnosis of the 3 weights, so they would not be hidden from you. I want to walk through them now, in the depth they deserve, because the way they work matters, and you deserve to understand the mechanism, not just the name. The first tool is something called the Genius Song. The Genius Song was developed by a neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Lake. Dr. Lake spent over 3 decades, more than 34 years of his working life, studying the gamma frequency we walked through earlier, the decline effect, the specific way the child within gets dimmed across childhood. He did not start that research with the goal of building a product. He started it as a scientist, trying to understand why one of the most powerful frequencies in the human brain quietly disappears in most adults between the ages of 5 and 7, and why almost no one in mainstream science was paying attention to the fact that it does. His work has come out of laboratories at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, at Princeton, at Harvard, alongside several other leading research institutions whose names I will not stack into a single list, because the institutions are not the point. What he discovered is the point. What he discovered is that the gamma frequency, the wave that carries the child within, can be reactivated in adults, not through years of meditation, not through medication, through a specific technology called brain entrainment. Brain entrainment uses sound delivered through headphones in a particular way, with slightly different audio frequencies presented to each ear at the same time, to gently guide the brain back into the gamma rhythm it was originally producing. The brain follows the sound. It is the way the brain naturally responds, and after a relatively short period of exposure, the gamma rhythm begins to return. The audio he built using this technology is 7 minutes long. That is the whole of it. 7 minutes, listened to through headphones with eyes closed. No mantra, no memorization, no physical practice. The technology does the work. You listen. And the child within, the part of you that has been dimmed since you were small, begins to wake. What the genius song does when it works is not what most people expect when they hear the name. It is not about becoming intellectually brilliant overnight. It is the return of the texture of childhood, the way curiosity comes back without effort, the way wonder returns to small things, the way you start, slowly, to feel the difference between thoughts that are yours and thoughts that are the disqualifying voice. You covered the mouth of these 3 days. The child within waking is the precondition for the door making sense from the inside. That is the first wave. The genius song reverses the decline effect. The child within wakes. Many of the chosen ones who walk this path further encounter a stronger, more amplified version of this audio after they have already begun with the genius song. Dr. Lake built that one too. He calls it the youthful brain. It is the deeper restoration for those whose path requires it. You will see it on the path after you secure the original. If your spirit confirms when you see it, walk into it. If your spirit does not, the genius song alone is complete. There is no pressure being placed on you about it. The original is enough on its own. That is the first wave. But the first wave by itself is only half of what these 3 days are asking for. Because, as we walked through earlier, the child within waking inside a body whose channel of reception is still closed is what we called, in plain language, the child waking but still unable to receive. The wonder comes back. The texture of childhood returns. And then a person tries to walk through the door, and the door is open, and the room is on the other side. And somehow, even with wonder restored, the receiving still does not happen. That is when the second wave matters. And the second wave was discovered by a different scientist, working independently, in a different tradition entirely. His name is Dr. Stephen Newton. Dr. Newton was, for years, a neuroscientist at Stanford. He is not someone who worked alongside Dr. Lake. He is not a colleague of his. He is not a student of his. He is a separate researcher who arrived at a convergent conclusion from a completely different angle. That convergence is worth paying attention to. When two independent traditions of research from different institutions with different methods arrive at the same conclusion about how the human brain actually works, the conclusion gets stronger, not weaker. Dr. Newton's research foundation comes out of Stanford, out of Boston University, out of Harvard, and out of several other research institutions whose names I will keep separate from Dr. Lake's list, because the two traditions are separate and the dual authority matters. What Dr. Newton discovered is the channel of reception, the mechanism we walked through earlier, as the alpha frequency being closed by hyperactive beta. Dr. Newton mapped, at a level of detail almost nobody else has mapped, the specific region of the brain where the stress signal hijacks the alpha state. The region is called the thalamus, the egg-shaped region near the center of the brain. And what Dr. Newton found was that when beta is hyperactive in modern adults, it produces a kind of neural rigidity in the thalamus, which prevents alpha from broadcasting at the frequency that allows reception to happen. He did not stop at the diagnosis. He built the tool. The tool he built is called the wealth signal. It is a 5-minute audio. It uses a different technology than the Genius song, calibrated specifically to deactivate the stress signal and restore the alpha state. It is also paired with something called the 9-word wealth script, a short sequence of words with roots in an ancient practice that goes back over 3,000 years, which the listener repeats internally while the audio is playing. The combination of the audio and the words bypasses the neural rigidity in the thalamus and reopens the channel of reception. That is the second wave. The wealth signal calms the stress signal. The channel of reception opens. And what it does, when it works, is also not what most people expect when they hear the name. It is not about money in the way the word wealth suggests at the surface. It is about the receiving frequency itself, the way a child receives a gift without negotiating whether they deserve it, the way a child holds what is given without preparing to lose it, the way a child receives completely without the adult filter of skepticism, scarcity, or self-prosecution standing between the gift and the holding of it. The wealth in the name is the wealth of receiving. Money is one of the things that comes through that channel. It is not the only thing. The channel carries everything that is meant to be received: provision, connection, recognition, restoration of the things that were waiting for you on the other side of the door. Many of the chosen ones already walking this path encounter, after they begin, with the wealth signal, an amplified version that Dr. Newton calls the wealth signal accelerator. It speeds the opening of the channel for those whose path requires the receiving to arrive faster. You will see it on the path after you secure the wealth signal. If your spirit confirms, when you see it, walk into it. If your spirit does not, the wealth signal alone is complete. The original is what most people need. The accelerator is for those whose specific situation requires deeper amplification. There is also something else that some chosen ones who walk both of these waves all the way through find available to them. The wealth signal accelerator and the youthful brain, taken together alongside the originals, form what the people who have walked the deepest version of this path tend to walk. It is not for everyone. The originals alone are complete. The combination is for those whose specific path requires going deeper than the foundation. I am naming it tonight only so you know it exists if your spirit recognizes it when you see it. The combination is not the goal. The originals are the threshold. The combination is for those whose path asks more than the threshold. Hear me very clearly on what the two waves do together. The Genius song wakes the child within. The wealth signal opens the channel through which the child receives. The first one returns who you were before the decline. The second one opens what was closed by the stress signal in the years after. Together, they restore both layers in the order that restoration actually happens. Child first, reception second. That is the sequence. It cannot be reversed. The receiving channel, opening in an adult whose child within is still dimmed, cannot hold what comes through. The child within waking in an adult whose receiving channel is still closed cannot receive what the wonder is recognizing. Both, in order. That is the architecture. Now, I want to tell you, before I say anything else about how to access these two waves, what is on the path on the other side of this message. There are 3 doors. The first door is the restoration door. This is the door for chosen ones who are starting with the child within first. The chosen ones whose deepest sense when they sit with this teaching honestly, is that the wonder is what they have lost. That the disqualifying voice has been louder than their spirit for so long, because the part of them that was built to laugh at it has been asleep. These are the chosen ones who walk through with the genius song alone. To start, the restoration door is the honored entry. It is not the lesser path. It is the right path for those whose first work is waking the child. The second door is the reception door. This is the door for chosen ones who already have an active practice that keeps the child within them alive. The ones whose wonder has not fully gone quiet, whose creative life is still moving, whose openness has not been entirely dimmed. For them, the work that still needs to happen is the opening of the channel of reception. These are the chosen ones who walk through with the wealth signal alone. To start, the reception door is the rare path. It is right for fewer people than the restoration door, because most chosen ones at this kind of threshold need both layers addressed. But it is right for some. The third door is the complete restoration door. This is the door for chosen ones who recognize that both layers need to be addressed in sequence, the child within waking and the channel of reception opening. Most of the chosen ones I have walked alongside through these kinds of thresholds choose this path, not because anyone pressured them toward it, because the honest recognition when they sat with the two layers was that both had been touched and both needed restoration. The complete restoration door is the door where the child wakes and the channel opens together, in order, child first, reception second. The way the teacher said it 20 centuries ago, when he said, "Become like little children, and then receive the kingdom." 3 doors. The restoration door, the reception door, the complete restoration door. All 3 are honored. None of them is wrong. There is no pressure being placed on you about which one is yours. The spirit in you knows which door it is walking toward. The disqualifying voice will try to make this a pricing conversation. Do not let it. The voice will try to turn the choice between 3 doors into a referendum on your worth. It is not. The 3 doors are not levels. They are paths. Different chosen ones walk different paths to the same destination. Yours is the one your spirit has already been quietly telling you it is. Before I tell you where the 3 doors are, there is something I have to protect you from, and I am going to say it directly because honest things deserve direct language. There are versions of the genius song and the wealth signal being sold across the internet that are not real. They are imitations. They are audio files that someone built without the brain entrainment technology, without the frequency calibration, without the 9-word wealth script. They are sold using the names of the originals, sometimes the names of the doctors, sometimes the language of the research. They are not the same tools. They do not do the same work. A person who buys an imitation does not get the restoration. They get a piece of audio that sounds vaguely similar to what they were promised, and nothing in their child within wakes, and nothing in their channel of reception opens. I am not telling you this to scare you. I am telling you so that what you walk through, if your spirit walks you through it, is the real path and not an imitation of it. The only place to find the real genius song and the real wealth signal, with the actual technology built into them, with all of the additional materials, Dr. Lake and Dr. Newton included with the originals, with the guarantee they each placed alongside their work, is through the path placed under this message. Not on Amazon, not on YouTube, not on Spotify, not on any platform that sells audio, only through the path placed in the description of this message and in the pinned comment below it. That is the only verified path. Everything else is an imitation. I want to give you a moment to sit with all of this before you do anything with it. What I want you to do, right now, in your spirit, is not decide whether to buy something. That is not the decision in front of you. The decision in front of you is something different. The decision is, which of the 3 doors is the one that has been quietly calling me the whole time I have been listening to this teaching tonight? That is the question. Not whether. Which. Take one breath. Slowly. Let the breath out. In your mind, picture the field again. The gate is still in front of you, but now, on the other side of the gate, the path branches. 3 branches. The restoration branch, the reception branch, the complete restoration branch, and the spirit in you, the quietest part of you, the part that has been carrying the ache toward what is on the other side, already knows which branch its feet are walking toward. You do not have to decide tonight. You can return to this when you are ready, but notice which branch your spirit is already standing on. This is not a pricing decision. This is a path decision. All 3 paths are honored. The spirit in you knows which one is yours. There is no wrong answer. The only thing the disqualifying voice wants here is for you to stay frozen between the 3 doors, instead of taking the one quiet step toward the one your spirit has already chosen. When you are ready, the 3 doors are placed below this message. They are in the description under this video. They are in the pinned comment below it. The same 3 doors are waiting in both locations. You do not have to remember a name. You do not have to find anything. The link is placed where I told you. 3 paths, visible. Step into the door that calls you. If your spirit is calling toward the restoration door, you will see it. If your spirit is calling toward the reception door, you will see that one. If your spirit is calling toward the complete restoration door, that one is visible too. The spirit in you knows which one. Step toward the door that calls you. There is no rush. The doors are placed. The path is open. The choice is yours, in the quietness of your own spirit, not under any pressure from anything I have said tonight. And whether the door you choose tonight is for you in this exact season or in a season further ahead than this one, what I am about to walk you through across the rest of this message is the work that no audio in the world can do for you. The audios are tools. The work is yours. The next stretch of this teaching is the actual protocol for the 3 days, the precise instructions for what to do across May the 13th, May the 14th, May the 15th. The 3 questions that filter every voice that comes at you across the 72 hours. The sealing declaration that is being spoken over your spirit before this message closes. Stay with me. The most important part of these 3 days is still ahead. Now we walk into the actual work of these 3 days. The protocol you are about to receive is not what you have been taught to expect when someone tells you the next 72 hours will decide something in your life. You have been taught by almost every voice in the modern world that decisive seasons require decisive action. That if the stakes are high, the response has to be high. That if the door is opening, you should be running toward it with everything you have. That is not this protocol. This protocol is the opposite of that. And the reason it is the opposite is because, as we walked through earlier, the door you are walking toward is not opened by force, it is opened by stillness. Esther did not storm the throne room. She fasted, she covered the mouth, she walked when the 3 days ended with all of her. But quietly, the stillness was the work. The walk was the consequence of the stillness. I am going to walk you through 3 layers of stillness, one for each of the 3 days. You will receive what to do on May the 13th, what to do on May the 14th, what to do on May the 15th. Each layer is specific. Each layer addresses one specific thing the disqualifying voice was scheduled to use against you on the 16th. And each layer is something you can do without standing up from where you are sitting right now. The work is internal. It is what your spirit chooses to refuse to feed. The first layer is for May the 13th. The first layer is the stillness of mouth. Across all of May the 13th, your one work, the only work the day is asking of you, is to refuse to explain yourself once, the whole day, to anyone, including yourself. I want you to hear what that means, because it is not what it sounds like at first. The stillness of mouth is not about not speaking. You can have every conversation that needs to happen on May the 13th. You can be in the meetings you need to be in. You can answer the people who need answers. The stillness is not about silence in your throat. It is about silence in a very specific part of your spirit, the part that has been performing explanations for years. For one day, you do not explain why you are still single. You do not explain why you are still at the same job. You do not explain why the timeline has been what it has been. You do not explain why you have not arrived where everyone expected you to arrive. You do not explain why you are tired. You do not explain why you have been quieter than usual. You do not explain why you did not respond to that message last week. You do not explain the version of yourself that has been forming underneath your visible life. If someone asks, the answer is short. The answer is true. The answer does not include the justification underneath the answer, where the disqualifying voice has trained you for years to follow every statement with the justification that proves you are not too much, not too little, not too late, not too anything. On May the 13th, the justification is left off. You do not owe anyone the explanation underneath the answer. You never did. Most of the explanations you have been giving for years were not requested. The disqualifying voice volunteered them on your behalf, in your own voice, and you have been the one doing the labor of producing them. On May the 13th, the labor stops. The Hebrew root we walked through earlier is what May the 13th is built on, T-som, to cover the mouth. Not the mouth of conversation, the mouth of explanation. The mouth that has been trying to justify your timing, your shape, your becoming, to every voice in the room, including the voice in your own head, for one day, covered. That is May the 13th. Now, the second layer. The second layer is for May the 14th. The second layer is the stillness of decision. Across all of May the 14th, your one work, the only work the day is asking of you, is to make 0 new commitments, not one, the whole day. This is more specific than it sounds. The stillness of decision is not about not living your life on May the 14th. You can do all the things on your calendar. You can keep the commitments you have already made. You can show up for what you have already said yes to. The stillness is about new commitments, new asks, new requests, new offers, new small yeses that the world is going to bring to your door across that day. Hear me clearly. The disqualifying voice was scheduled to put you in front of at least one new decision. On or around May the 14th, that would have looked small and felt unable to refuse. A small yes, a small commitment, a small agreement, something that would have seemed harmless, something the disqualifying voice would have used to make sure your spirit was already pre-committed elsewhere when the door opened on the 15th. On May the 14th, every new yes waits. If someone asks you for something new, the answer is, "I will let you know after Friday." That is the whole answer. You do not justify it. You do not explain it. You do not soften it with 16 apologies for needing time. "I will let you know after Friday." The conversation closes there. If someone presses, if the disqualifying voice uses them to apply pressure, if the request is framed as urgent in a way that makes you feel like you have to answer now, that pressure is the diagnostic. The pressure is the disqualifying voice trying to get a pre-commitment out of you before the door opens. Any request that demands a yes inside the 48-hour window between May the 13th and May the 15th is, by definition, not yours to answer until Friday closes. The pressure is the evidence. If someone is pressuring a yes inside that window, the answer is already revealed. The answer is no. Or, more honestly, the answer is not now. That is, May the 14th. Now, the third layer. The third layer is for May the 15th. The third layer is the stillness of negotiation. I told you earlier in this message that the command placed over these 3 days was one sentence. Stop negotiating with the voice that has been disqualifying you. The third layer is where you do exactly that, in the final 24 hours before the door opens. Across all of May the 15th, your one work, the only work the day is asking of you, is to refuse to respond to the disqualifying voice at all, for the whole day. The disqualifying voice will speak on May the 15th. I am not telling you it will be silent. It will be louder, in fact, than it has been on most days in the past year, because the door is closer. And what we walked through earlier, the calendar of small drains that was being collected for delivery on the 16th has been cancelled, which means the disqualifying voice has very little time left to work in. It is going to use every minute of May the 15th to try to get one of its rehearsed phrases into the center of your spirit. You do not argue with it. You do not refute it. You do not pull up evidence against it. You do not run through your accomplishments to disprove it. You do not look at the people in your life who love you to remind yourself it is wrong. You do not do any of that. You let it speak, and you do not respond. I know that is harder than refuting it. I know that. The instinct, when a voice rises in your spirit, telling you that you are not the kind of person this happens to, is to fight back, to prove the voice wrong, to gather evidence. And, that is, the instinct that has been keeping the negotiation alive for years. Every time you have refuted the voice has come back with a counter-argument, and you have refuted that, and it has come back again. And the entire mental loop you have been stuck inside is the loop the voice has needed in order to keep its access to you. The way you actually shut the loop is not by winning the argument, it is by leaving the argument. The voice can speak. You let it speak. You do not answer. You return your attention to whatever is in front of you, the conversation you are in, the work you are doing, the room you are sitting in, the breath in your chest. You return to what is real. The voice will try one more line. You do not answer that one either. By the late afternoon of May the 15th, the voice will run out of new lines because the voice has a small vocabulary, and a vocabulary that is not being engaged with stops being able to generate momentum. By the evening of May the 15th, the voice will be quiet for stretches of time you have not experienced in years. By the time Friday closes, the disqualifying voice will be a smaller thing inside of you than it has been since the rehearsal began. That is the third layer. That is the protocol. 3 layers, 1 day each. Stillness of mouth on the 13th, stillness of decision on the 14th, stillness of negotiation on the 15th. None of them requires you to do anything that you cannot do from where you are sitting right now. None of them requires force. None of them requires you to leave your life. The work is internal. The work is what your spirit chooses to refuse, to feed across 3 specific days. Let me pause for a moment here. I want to share something with you that I do not usually share inside of teachings like this one. I have been at the kind of threshold I have been walking you through tonight more than once. The first time I was at one of these thresholds, I did not know what it was. I did not have any of the language I have been giving you over the last several hours. I did not know there was a disqualifying voice. I did not know there were 2 layers in the body. I did not know that the calendar of small drains was a thing that could be named. I walked into my threshold the way most people walk into theirs, loud, trying to force the door, negotiating with everything, performing competence for everyone who was watching, tired, in a way I did not have language for. I missed the door the first time. I want to say that out loud, because if I am asking you to be still, I have to be honest about the fact that the protocol I am walking you through tonight is not theoretical. It is what I learned the hard way, over more than one threshold, after missing the first one, because I was too loud at the door to hear the voice that was actually mine. The reason I am giving you the stillness now, instead of leaving you to learn it through missing the way I learned it, is because there is no requirement that you miss your first one. There is no virtue in the loss. The chosen ones who walked through their thresholds in the past, who left teachings the rest of us have built on, did not become teachers because they missed. They became teachers because they walked through, eventually, and turned around to point at the door for the rest of us. That is what tonight is. That is what these 3 days are. A pointing at the door, for you, by someone who has walked through one before and missed one before, and who is in the room with you now in spirit, because you are at one too. Take one slow breath here. Let what I just said be in the room with you for a moment. You are not walking alone through these 3 days. You are walking with the company of every chosen one who has walked through one of these and turned around to point. Now I want to give you something else, something that goes alongside the 3 layers of stillness. Across the next 72 hours, the disqualifying voice is going to try to come at you through other people's mouths, through pieces of news, through small situations, through random inputs that, on a different week, would not have weighed anything. It is going to try to slip past the stillness of mouth, the stillness of decision, the stillness of negotiation, by hiding inside of inputs you do not recognize as it. You need a filter. I am going to give you 3 questions. They are short. You can hold them in your spirit without writing them down. When any input lands on you across May the 13th, May the 14th, May the 15th, anything that comes at you from any direction, you run it through these 3 questions in order. If it fails any of them, it does not get a response from you. The first question is this: is this from the disqualifying voice trying to get me to negotiate with it? If yes, you do not answer. The input gets no response. You return to what is in front of you. That is the first filter. If the input passes the first question, you move to the second. The second question is this: does this ask me to explain something I already know? If yes, you stay silent. The input gets no explanation. You give the short answer if one is owed, and the explanation underneath the answer stays inside of you. That is the second filter. If the input passes the second question, you move to the third. The third question is this: does this require me to make a commitment that wants to be made before Friday at sundown? If yes, you defer. The input gets a "I will let you know after Friday." The commitment waits. That is the third filter. If the input passes all 3 questions, then, and only then, it may receive a real response from you. That is the gate filter for these 3 days. 3 questions. In order, every input. The gate filter protects your energy through the threshold. It is what makes the stillness possible to actually live, not just to plan. You have the protocol now. 3 layers of stillness, 3 filtering questions, a precise architecture. 4. May the 13th, May the 14th, May the 15th. But there is one more thing you need before this message closes, because the protocol alone is not enough. The filter alone is not enough. The teaching alone is not enough. You need a sealing of who you are before you walk into these 3 days, a declaration over your spirit that the disqualifying voice cannot speak over. That is what is happening next. Hear these words slowly, because each one of them is being placed over your spirit on purpose, in this exact order, with the weight of every chosen one who has walked through a threshold like this one standing in the room with you. You are not the one who arrived late. You are the one who was timed. You are not the one negotiating your worth. You are the one whose worth was sealed before any of these years began. You are not the one waiting to be chosen. You are the one who was already kept through every collapse, kept through every silence, kept through every betrayal, kept specifically for what is about to be released across these 72 hours. You are not the one carrying the weight of a calendar that was being kept against you. You are the one for whom that calendar is being closed tonight. Listen to who you are. You are the one heaven appointed for this threshold. You are not late. You are the answer to the question you were asking. You are sealed against what was scheduled. Take those 4 declarations into the deepest part of your spirit, not as motivation, as identity. They are not aspirations. They are descriptions of who you have been the whole time, underneath the dimming and the closing and the calendar. They were true before this teaching named them, and they are still true now that the teaching has named them. If your spirit is taking those declarations as yours tonight, type the words, "I am ready" below this message right now. Not because you are ready to do something hard, because you are ready to be who you have already been. The walk is the consequence of the readiness. The readiness is the consequence of the declaration. The declaration is the consequence of who you actually are. Type the words, "I am ready," and let those 4 declarations seal into your spirit through your own typing of them. Now, I want to take you into the field one more time before this closes. Let your eyes rest. Let the breath in your chest slow without you having to manage it. Let the room you are sitting in become quieter than it has been since this teaching began. In your mind, return to the field. The light has changed. The twilight that has been holding this whole message is starting to soften into the kind of light that comes just before dawn, even though no dawn is yet visible. The grass is the color it becomes when the night has been long, but the morning is closer than the night was. The air is still cool. The air is no longer heavy. You are standing in front of the gate, but the 2 guards are gone. The figure that was telling you you were late, that was rehearsing the small vocabulary of disqualification, that was holding up the case against you, is not there anymore. The voice has been covered for these 3 days. The voice has nothing to say from outside the gate anymore. The space on the left side of the door is empty. The figure that was real, the one whose voice was quietly telling you the truth this whole time, is not there either. That figure stepped through first. That voice walks ahead of you now, through the door, calling back to you from the other side. There is no one in the field but you and the door. The door is already starting to open. Not because you forced it, not because you earned it across one more season of striving, not because you proved anything to the gate. Your stillness met the gate's timing. The 2 preparations have finally arrived on the same threshold at the same hour. This is not a prayer over you. This is a commissioning. The threshold is not in your body. The threshold is in your willingness, and the willingness has already happened. You have been walking toward this door for 19 months, or 29, or 39, or however long it has been. You did not know you were walking. You thought you were waiting. The walking and the waiting were the same thing the whole time. Notice the quiet of the room you are in. Notice the air that has held this entire message. The threshold is here. The willingness is here. The door is opening. Walk forward in your spirit. Walk through. Now we close together. Before any other word is spoken over the next 3 days, before the protocol begins, before May the 13th arrives, this is the sealing of the Spirit. Let your shoulders rest down. Let the weight that has been on you across the last several hours be set down without you having to manage how you set it down. You have walked through the diagnosis. You have walked through the wisdom of the one who walked the first 3 days, 2,500 years before yours. You have walked through the mechanism. You have walked through the protocol. You have received the 4 declarations. Whatever was supposed to be done in your spirit tonight has been done. There is a Father who has seen every weight you have been carrying. He saw the wanting that got quieter across the years. He saw the apologizing for needing time. He saw the ache that the disqualifying voice tried to turn into evidence against you. He saw the small drains that were being archived against you. He saw the calendar that was being kept on your formation. He saw all of it, and he did not look away. He has been the timing the whole time. Now, picture the 3 weights: the waiting, the disqualifying voice, the calendar that was kept against you. Picture them resting on the threshold gate. Picture them being set down there, not carried through, set down. They do not cross with you. They stay at the gate. The gate holds them. The gate has held heavier than them before. You walk forward without them. And these are the words being placed over your spirit in this exact moment, with all of the weight of every chosen one who has walked through this kind of door before you and is now standing in the great cloud of witnesses watching you walk through yours. If you perish, but you will not perish. You will not negotiate with what was sent to disqualify you. You will not flinch at what was scheduled to break you. You will walk through May the 13th in the stillness of mouth. You will walk through May the 14th in the stillness of decision. You will walk through May the 15th in the stillness of negotiation. And you will be at the door when it opens. And I hear the Father saying, I did not bring you this far to leave you at the gate. The door is mine, the hinge is mine, the timing is mine. The wood was placed for your feet. The light that has held this field has been holding it for you. Walk forward. That is the ceiling. If your spirit is receiving those words tonight as yours, type the words, and so it is below this message right now. Let those words exist in the room. Let them be spoken back into the field where the door is opening. Let the ceiling be witnessed. You are not alone at this gate. Across the world tonight, other chosen ones are receiving the same 3 days. They are sitting in their own quiet rooms, and they are receiving the same teaching. They are walking through the same field in their own spirits. You are walking with them. They are walking with you. The thresholds are different. The door is the same shape. And so it is. Sit with the quiet for a moment. Before you leave this space, one more thing I needed you to hear. If this message brought clarity to something that was foggy when you opened it, if it brought peace to something that was loud when you opened it, if it brought confirmation to something you have been feeling but have not had words for, let your like on this message be your amen, without words, not for me, as an agreement in the spirit that what you received tonight, you received. If your spirit wants more messages like this one, as they are placed on my heart, you already know what to do. There is no algorithm I am asking you to feed. There is only a quiet alignment with the kind of space this is, and the way that alignment happens is the same way alignment has always happened. You do the small thing that aligns you with what you want more of. And one last thing about the path I told you about earlier. If your spirit is still calling toward one of the 3 doors, the doors are placed where I told you they were, in the description below this message. In the pinned comment underneath it, 3 paths, visible, waiting quietly. You do not have to remember anything. The path is placed. Step into the door that calls you, if your spirit is still calling, or return to it when you are ready. There is no rush. The path will be there. There is one more thing. Somewhere, while you were listening to this, a person came to your mind. Maybe more than one, but there is at least one. Someone whose face arrived in your spirit at a specific moment of this message and has not fully left since. Someone who has been quietly carrying something they have not been able to name. Someone who has been almost doing the same thing for months and cannot tell anyone what the almost is. Someone who has been disqualifying themselves before the world has even spoken to them. Someone who looks fine on the outside, but you can feel, in a way, you do not have language for, that they are at a gate they do not know how to walk through. That person came to you for a reason, not because they need a favor, because they need a confirmation. The confirmation is what this message is. The confirmation is the language for what they have been feeling without words. Send this to them. Text it, email it, send it. However, the connection between you and them works. You do not have to add a long explanation. The message is the explanation. Send it the way you would send water to someone who has been thirsty and did not know they were allowed to ask for water. This might be the confirmation they have been praying for without knowing they were praying. This might be the message that lets them understand that the next 3 days were never about them being late. They were about the room being finished, the same room that is being finished for you tonight. Walk softly across. May the 13th, May the 14th, May the 15th. The door is yours. The door is opening. You are already